All right, hey, welcome back. This is kind of like the bass version of planking, and I'll get to that in a minute. Today, we have kind of an oddball, a Peavey T45. So, what's the Peavey T45? I'm in tune, you don't need to see that anymore. So, Peavey got involved in musical instrument production in the late 70s, came out with the T40 bass, which has two pickups and a pretty complex wiring system that includes out-of-phase switching and some different pickup. You'd be able to select a coil in the pickup as well, twin humbuckers, really fancy. Was somewhat popular, but never really completely took off. 78, I think they came out with that. Well, in 1982, they came out with the T45, which pretty much dumbs down or makes a whole lot simpler the T40 and converts it to a single pickup version. You know, if you think of the T40 as Peavey's jazz bass, this would be their precision. I'm going to dive right in to the features on this. So you have this big humbucker right here, and you have three controls. So what the controls are very simple. This is master volume up front. One back here is master tone. In the middle is a pickup coil selector, and it kind of an ingenious way to get the most out of the single pickup. It's a way to kind of get the single coil and the humbucker precision sound. All the way up here at 10, it's a single coil, which is the coil back here. And then as you roll back the control, it slowly dials in the other coil. So you get the full humbucker sound. And then it does something else, I guess, with the wiring, maybe changing resistance a little as it opens up the sound a little. If it goes to girthy, to a little bit more open, to when it's all the way off, it's out of phase, which is tin and hollow and not bassy at all. I'm not sure why you'd have that sound, but we'll get to that in a little bit when we go on. But a pretty cool way. Similar to what G&L, Leo Fender did with the L1000, where we had a big humbucker and had switching involved in order to get a single coil or a humbucker sound to try to approximate, again, the overall P sound for both the classic single coil and the humbucker sound. G&L, the L1000, was a bit more successful. I'm going to guess on a few reasons why the T45 probably didn't take off, but let's go a little more into the details before we move on. You can see it has this massive bridge. Die cast, it looks like. Made in USA, for anyone who doubted. You can string it right through the body here, and that is the only option. There is no back through the tail end. As you can see, only your intonation adjusting screws here, and these saddles are freaking massive. So late 70s, it was all about the tone was in the weight. So they put things like brass and the like on. I don't know if there's any brass in this. Could be plated brass. I don't know. But it's a very substantial bridge meant to, increase tone and sustain and the like. You have this beautiful Bicut neck here. It's maybe hard to see, but there's a seam right down the middle here. It's just two pieces of wood, cut, split, quarter sawn, put together, and meant to be more stable and stronger. These necks tended across the board. The old Fender necks used to develop ski jumps and all. Don't know how well it succeeded, but it was a better idea. The tuners are really versions of what you might call ultralights. They're probably not very light. I haven't weighed them, but they're very low key. Not a whole lot to them. They just have their mounting plate, very substantial keys, good sized looking ratio tuners there. So very well built in that sense. Down here, you have something that was very popular in the 70s. The tilt here, so you could adjust the up and down pitch of the neck The tilt adjust is very common on the G&Ls and the Fenders. You get your control cavity here. The biggest feature or worst feature of this instrument is the weight. The Peavey instruments of the 70s and 80s, early 80s, were known for being just incredibly heavy. I'm not sure, but I think this is solid maple, or at least 3 pieces of solid maple. It has some excellent figuring on it. There's a seam here, and there's a seam here. But nice flame figuring. It's kind of hard to make out, I guess, but really nice looking piece. But boy, howdy. I didn't weigh this, but this has got to be over 12 pounds. So you're all in on this. But that was something that was pretty common in the 70s into the 80s. And that's one of the things that I think was the downfall, not just the weight, but you've heard of instruments being ahead of their time. I kind of think this is kind of behind its time. This bass probably should have come out 5 years earlier. They only made these from 82 to 85, and I think most of the most of the ones you'll find are 82, 83-ish. This is an 82, according to the serial number. Look up on Peavey's website. It's got a lot of 70s things to it. The weight, the large body, the funky switching. 82, pop music and rock music was changing quite a bit, moving in toward the glam and hair metal scene and the like there. And on the bass front, there was a lot of innovation happening, especially with active electronics. But you were seeing a lot of PJ, the P and the jazz bass setups, and a little bit more simplicity. You had, the Guild Pilot coming out. Fender started making their jazz bass special. Spectre had their PJ setups with the preamp. So this bass, I think, was really just, born too late. Wasn't meant for times like that. And downsized bodies and the like, and the fancy headstocks. And Peavey did catch up pretty quickly. They made their Foundation, which had a totally different pickup, the super ferrite pickups, and they had a lot of other configurations with it. But the biggest thing about the Foundation was that it had more of a downsized body, a little sleeker on the looks, and much lighter. But boy, I mean, you go from playing, I got this Music Man Stingray Special 5, maybe weighs 8 pounds, and you go from playing that and you pick this up, it's like, holy cow. I have, I have a speaker cabinet, I think that might weigh less than this. So that's the one downfall of the instrument. But, I've gigged out with this, when I brought it out, it was with some experienced players, and it's like, wow, hey, the old Peaveys, and everyone said pretty much the same thing, and I say it's true. Wow, I remember those. They sound great, but boy, are they heavy. And we'll show you in a second. This one definitely lives up to that reputation. All right, all plugged in. Going through my Mesa D800. You're getting the pre-EQ feed, so pure bass sound. No equalization. So, as I mentioned, it kind of is a cool setup to be able to sweep through, choose your coils, and have a wide variety of sounds. So even though it's a single pickup bass, it's not just a one-trick pony. As I mentioned, Leo Fender was experimenting with a lot of things like that with the G&L, L1000. There were some other makers doing similar things. So it was of its time in that sense, but like I said, really, it's way too late. So let's start off. We're going to have volume and tone up all the way, and we are in single coil setting. So, good, solid sound, very usable. The tone, as like on a lot of basses, is kind of limited. You roll it back a bit. I'm going to roll it back all the way. Just to give you a little bit of a feel of it there. Got a decent old school type sound. Thing is though, kind of a sharp drop off. So right there you may have noticed. And then it goes back up to full. So kind of only really three settings on the tone if you get down to it. So not a full sweep. I don't know if it's a capacitor or whatnot set up in there, but that's kind of how you get. So now let's show you some of the magic. So single coil. We're slowly going to pull this back. You hear a little scratchy pot, but you also notice, hey, listen to that sound. It fills up a little bit there, doesn't it? Well, right about there, for me, anyways, when you're looking down here at an angle, it's right around where it's 7 or 8 when you're looking straight down. It's kind of a sweet spot for me. I think this bass sounds the best right here. But you can hear as I play, a lot more fuller tone to it. I really got to get a signature lick like a lot of other reviewers have. I just kind of wing it every time. But anyways, a little bit more fuller on the sound. That was with the tone all the way up. Let's roll the tone back. A little bit darker and all, but pretty good usable tone. Like I said, I think this bass sounds excellent. Let's bring the tone back up and roll back a little more. All right, here we are. Just at the edge of the out of phase setting, which we'll get to. So if I'm looking down here, I'm seeing 4. So here we go. So not quite as beefy and full, but still very usable sound. And we'll pull the tone back again. Now, roll back all the way, tone up all the way. And here we go, out of phase. That's about all I'm going to do from that. Maybe you have a use for that tone. I don't. Not sure why. As I said, the T40 had a phase switch, so you could do that. And when you have multiple pickups, switching phase, that help a little bit. Here we're just switching the coils out of phase, and it just sucks all the low end completely out. It's kind of like if you wire a speaker backwards. That's what happened. Hey, where'd the bass go? So interesting choice on that, but what can I say? But really, overall, it's a great idea. Execution, I don't know. But again, it's a really cool bass. It's very usable sounds. I mean, you want a studio bass. This is probably a good studio bass. If you want to gig a lot with it, you're going to need a big, huge padded strap. Because this is going to weigh down on you after a while. Yeah, really heavy. But the sound is great. So, I mean, if that's a trade-off you want to make, it's up to you to decide. But it's a nice bass to have in your collection if that's what you like. You want to be completist. I know a bunch of people out there collect Peavey USA basses, and they're just crazy and sick about it. It's like a cult. So those might be the only people that you see having one of these babies. But you run across one, you know, I think the prices are all over the place, between $500 and $1,000. I think you can find these for. Some people think, you know, because they're vintage, they're going to be worth more, but it's a little bit of an oddity along the way. But let me know what you think. Peavey T45. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Check out my playlist of other bass reviews and amp reviews, and hey, rock on.